Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my coverage of E3 2018. Yes, I am reacting and responding and giving my opinion on all of the E3 conferences that happened this year, all the media briefings, all the Nintendo Directs, all the piss-poor performances from EA and Square. I am not even going to delve into what they did. I am ignoring them entirely as if they don't exist. Because let's be honest, that's probably the best thing to do right now. Today, I'm going to be talking about Ubisoft. Yeah, it's a little bit late, it's a little bit outdated, but to be honest, bigger things happened in the conferences after Ubisoft, and I didn't find the time to get Ubisoft out. I wanted to be a little bit timely with Nintendo. I should have been a bit more organised this year, really. I kind of cocked up the order in which these have released. Yeah, because now I'm talking about Ubisoft when it doesn't really matter and everyone forgot about it. Bit shit that. I didn't really plan that well. These videos turned out to be longer than I assumed them to be, which is why they didn't come out as quickly or as timely as I wanted them to. But I digress. You learn from your mistakes, don't you? Not me. So Ubisoft. Let's kick off with Ubisoft. The beginning of their conference, they did a weird little dancing musical number with people in costumes, as they normally do for some reason. They're obsessed with costumes over at Ubisoft. I'm pretty sure whoever puts this presentation together has some sort of animal fetish, or is a furry, or is into furry porn or something like that. I don't know. Let's not go into that. Then they had a Beyond Good and Evil a Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer. CGI thing, yeah, you saw some cool stuff. The pig's back, and then they revealed the girl at the end. Don't know. Didn't play the original Beyond Good and Evil. I feel like the hype around Beyond Good and Evil is like more propagated by the wait between the two games. Maybe I should go back and play Beyond Good and Evil. Maybe I should dig that out and play that and put that on the channel. That might be a good thing. Then maybe I'll be excited about this shit. An interesting thing they did with Beyond Good and Evil as well is they showed gameplay. Yeah, they had a gameplay trailer. It's a very brief one. Weird thing is though, on the stream they didn't have like the full screen stream on it. They just showed a video. They just filmed the gameplay trailer like on the stage on the big screen. So you couldn't really see it as an audience at home. You could only really see it properly if you were an audience in that theatre they were in. I thought it was weird. I feel like that's them avoiding showing too much of it. Maybe it's nowhere near as done as we hope it is. I don't know. I just thought it was a strange choice. And yes, it makes you worry about the game a little bit. It feels like they spend a year working on the fucking CGI trailer to show at E3 and not actually working on the game. But we're not going to dive into that too much. An interesting thing about this one, though, about this little presentation of Beyond Good and Evil, is that towards the end of it, they had Joseph Gordon-Levitt of Batman fame, of Dark Knight fame. Dark Knight Returns? What is it? Dark Knight Returns? Dark Knight Returns? The Dark Knight. Yeah, The Dark Knight Returns, isn't it? That film? Origins? Dark Knight. Rise of the Dark Knight, the third one, the one with Bane in. He was in that. He comes out with his company called Hit Record, asking for artistic works to go in the game. So basically, you can pitch ideas to be in the game. It can be anything, according to what Hit Record is saying and what Mr. Levitt was saying, from artworks to graffiti artworks, different stories to go in the game, music and things like that. They get put onto Hit Record, and then the creators, the developers, will put them into the game if they deem them worthy, if they can fit into the game and the game's atmosphere. I think the brief really was to create things that would fit into the Beyond Good and Evil game world and what we've seen of it so far. I like that idea. I think that's very good. It's a good way of supporting new and upcoming artists. Could give them a way to break into the industry. I like that a lot. I'm a big fan of that. Also, from what I hear, you actually get paid from it. So if your artwork gets into the game, whatever you create, be it music or some sort of story or some sort of artwork, it gets paid for. That's even better. Even better. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt even more for doing that. I mean, he was a sexy boy anyway, but right now, woo-wee, he's a catch, ladies. He's a catch. Or guys. I don't know his orientation. He could be any. Yeah. I like that. I'm fully on board behind that. I'm fully on board behind supporting artists, especially new up-and-coming artists that need a platform. I think that's a great idea. I didn't know Joseph Gordon-Levitt did that with Hit Record. So I'm going to look into that a bit more and see if I can get my own shit in that game. Maybe I'll do a really shit YouTube video and they'll put that in there. That'll be nice, wouldn't it? I'd actually get paid for it for a change. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anyway, after that, after Beyond Good and Evil, which I can't really say much on. I don't know it that I don't care. I don't really care about it. They moved on to Rainbow Six Siege, another one that I don't really give a fuck about. Yeah. That was a documentary. They've got a documentary coming called Another Mindset. I think this is the most important thing about the Rainbow Six Siege bit. The Rainbow Six Siege bit is like, oh yeah, we've got lots of players, there's content, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Don't really care. But no, the most interesting thing was this documentary that's coming out of the game. It's called Another Mindset, and it follows Rainbow Six Siege esports players, professional players, and them basically rising to the top and becoming the best that they can be. I think it's interesting to see the growth of esports, man, because judging by this documentary, it looks like it's getting bigger and bigger. You kind of miss, if you're not really into it, like I'm not really into watching the esports scene that much. You kind of miss the bandwagon or you kind of miss the growth of it. I feel like this documentary, from the trailer at least, did a good job of showing how fucking big esports has got and how mental the crowds are. I mean, it's getting to like arena size sort of attendance, and that's insane for video games. It's fucking brilliant. Don't get me wrong. Like telling me when I was if I was a 10-year-old kid and you'd have told me that in 15 years time, that video games would be as big as like a football game. Like you could fill a stadium almost with people wanting to watch people play games professionally. That would have blown my fucking mind. And to be honest, it blows my mind today. So yeah, that was the most interesting thing coming out of Rainbow Six Siege, the documentary thing. I don't know why. I think that was the only reason they came on stage, really, just to give a little bit of a background of Rainbow Six Siege and where it's gone. Just that kind of led into this documentary thing. So yeah, it's a little bit pointless, really. But I don't know if it fit into the E3 conference there quite well, but it looks interesting. I'll definitely give that a watch when it comes out. That's called Another Mindset, that documentary. The next thing they had was Fat Evil Knievel riding through the crowd. Yeah, this bit was weird. The guy was pretty funny, to be fair. I like what they do. I think the Ubisoft are the best at presenting their games and having a bit more beyond their games, because this guy comes on the stage, rides up to the stage on his motorbike, or on his mini motorbike, throws the motorbike on the ground, gets on the stage and trips over and falls into the podium, smashes the podium up. Basically, it's the guy from Trials, and the point he was trying to make is that Trials is the new Trials game that's coming out. What was it called? Trials Rising. Yep, Trials Rising. It's like normal Trials, but this time they've got an emphasis on crashing, on the crash mode. There seems to be like a crash mode like there was in Burnout. So him falling over and smashing the thing was him, doing that shit. Yeah, so new Trials game coming out in February 2019, also coming to Switch. Brilliant. It's just more Trials, but with crashing. Yeah, I've already said that. That's all it really was. They also showed off something called Trials University, where they had, I don't get it, I think they had a YouTuber teaching people how to play Trials. I don't know how much you can care about playing Trials, but apparently quite a bit. It's got quite a community around it. It must be quite a niche community, a small one, because I just thought Trials was like a rip-off of those Flash games that you use the arrows to. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that fell a little bit flat to me, to be honest. The Trials thing, I didn't really care. It's hard to be entertained. I mean, I was entertained by the fat guy falling over, but other than that, it's just more Trials. Yeah, more Trials. After that, they came out with the Division 2, a little bit more info regarding this game. Beyond what they showed at the Xbox conference. Yeah, the Xbox conference. Basically, the story, they gave a bit more into the storyline as well. So the smallpox disease has basically burnt out and is not as much as a threat anymore. That it's killed off the amount of people it's going to kill off. It's still dangerous, but not as much. So right now, the Division 2, where they're at 6 months after the original game, they're trying to rebuild. It's humanity trying to rebuild. It's another trailer that has a lot more of a story-driven kind of feel to it. There seems to be, it was a girl throwing a paper aeroplane, the paper aeroplane going through the different scenes of it being quite tranquil and quite peaceful, through all the killing, the violence, the bloodshed, everything going wrong in the world of Division 2, landing at the feet of the Division agent. The Division agent opening up the paper aeroplane and reading the word help. And then the trailer pans around and sees the 3 Division agents walking into the fucking hell that paper airplane's just flown through. Cool trailer, really cool trailer, completely CGI, no gameplay or anything like that. In that trailer, anyway. Really, really strong one, fucking strong trailer. Probably one of the best ones that's come out of the conference. Probably one of the best ones that's come out of E3 in general. And it does lean towards the fact that this may be more story driven, and I hope so, because like I said in the Microsoft one, in my Microsoft E3 recap, the problem with The Division, my problem anyway, was that it was neither dedicated enough to the story narrative kind of stuff, nor was it dedicated enough to the MMO kind of stuff. They kind of half-arsed each of those aspects, and they didn't quite mesh together properly. They needed to go, I feel personally, they either needed to go one way or the other. In the first one, I feel like they should have gone more story-based kind of stuff, because I feel like they missed a lot of opportunities with the story-based stuff. That way, the MMO elements of it, like the amount of bullets you can fire into an enemy before they die, the numbers bouncing off their heads, maybe wouldn't have been such a detractor from the game as a whole if it had a decent story that wasn't just fetch quests in this decrepit world. I'm hoping with The Division 2, it seems to be the case anyway, that they are being more story driven with it. I'm hoping that trailer is the progenitor of that. It is setting the precedence for that. Fingers crossed. They gave a few more details about the mechanics of the game as well. Some really interesting end game progression. Basically, at the end of the game, well, when you would hit the level cap, rather than just hitting the level cap and it being done, you can then pick one of three specialist classes: demolition. I think demolition, sharpshooter, and something else. Can't remember the third one. And you can pick one of those three classes and build out those skill trees. I like that. I like that idea. So you're basically a generic agent going in. You get a well-rounded game, and then once you get that level cap, you can then pick one of three directions to go in, depending on how you want to specialise. Love it. What a great idea. I think the third one was a ranger. Yeah, I think the third one was a ranger. Another interesting thing at the Division 2 now is that they have brought raids in. So another mechanic from the MMO side of things. Raids are now a thing in the game. It's something that obviously people are happy about, especially the hardcore Division players. It makes sense, I suppose. It makes sense from that MMORPG kind of standpoint. It made sense in Destiny. I suppose it makes sense in this. The idea is it's online all the time, and you get together with your friends to destroy these raids. Again, it's like a leaning towards the MMO side of things. So I'm hoping my hope is what they're doing is they're going all out on both sides. They're going all out into the MMO stuff, which seems to be the case with the raids and the end game progression. And they're also going all out into the story stuff, which, just judging by that snippet of a trailer, hopefully that's the case. And there's 3 DLC episodes coming out after the Division 2 releases. I thought that was weird until they said they were completely free. So they announced the DLC, not to sell it to you, but just to say that there's going to be more content after the fact. I think it's them plugging the idea, or Ubisoft plugging the idea that this is a game as a live service. It's the model they want to follow, and I think having the DLC as completely free makes sense, but that also means that there's probably going to be some sort of loot box mechanic or microtransaction thing instead of paid for DLC. I'm okay with microtransactions. I'm not okay with loot boxes, but to be fair to Ubisoft, when they had loot boxes in Assassin's Creed Origins, they, out of all of the dickheads that did it last year, I feel like they did it the best. They didn't really offer much out of the loot boxes, but we'll see what happens. And then they went into another trailer for The Division 2. I didn't think that was necessary at this point. I feel like they already said enough with the first trailer and the announcements of the game mechanics. They showed another one off. I don't know why. It wasn't really needed. That's coming out March 15th. Yeah, March 15th next year. Very good. This, I must admit right now, Division 2, I was very, very cold on it going into E3, but after seeing it at Microsoft and at Ubisoft, it's up there now. It's up there. It's up there as one of my favourite games coming out of E3. One of the most interesting looking games coming out of E3. I'm very hopeful for it. Very hopeful for it. But we'll see, won't we? We know what happened with the last one anyway. I know what happened with the last one anyway. I fucking hated it. Got so boring, man. So tedious. Hopefully this won't suffer the same fate. Then they had some news on Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. They had a musical performance for it. Again, another trait for these E3 conferences this year. They were playing the Donkey Kong music because Donkey Kong is coming to Mario Rabbids. So that's cool. Yeah, it was a bit fucking weird and it dragged on a bit long. They had a composer there doing it was the guy that originally composed the Donkey Kong music, and he was up the top composing what was basically a rock band. I don't know. I'm not a musician, but I don't feel like he was needed, personally. I don't know. I don't feel like he was needed or actually had to be there. It was very weird. Dragged on for too long. Again, it's just another lull, another low point for me in the conference. It took a fucking while, but eventually they got over it, and they moved on to Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, mate. That pirate game that they showed off last year seems to be coming along very, very nicely. They showed a trailer, a cinematic trailer, a bit more story-driven trailer. So I'm really, really hoping that this is like a properly decent, like, pirate game with a story, with some sort of narrative. They also gave a few more details on the game in terms of the mechanics, how it's going to work, what the game is actually going to play like, because we didn't get much of that last year outside of core gameplay mechanics. Basically, it seems to be about hoarding as much treasure as you can to rise to the top in the Indian Ocean, because basically what they're saying is piracy is dead in the Caribbean, so they've gone to Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean, it looks like Sea of Thieves for grown-ups, to be honest. It looks like Sea of Thieves for people who are a bit more mature. It looks really cool. It's kind of still got those Assassin's Creed Black Flag mechanics, but maybe built upon a little bit more depth to it. You can customize your ship in certain ways. There's like a port that is your hub world, where you go and buy parts for your ship. You can go to a fortune teller who will tell the fortunes of the day, so he'll tell you what the weather's going to be like, how choppy the seas are going to be because of that. Different aspects where you might find certain treasures, I think, was another thing. Different aspects that the fortune teller tells you, so you can set up your pirating adventures correctly with certain customization options on the ship. They didn't show any third-person moving around stuff, though. I don't know if that's, apart from the hub world, I don't know if boarding the ships and taking the ships over is going to be a thing. I don't know if there's any melee combat. Right now, it just looks like a boiled down version of Assassin's Creed's Black Flag, just the ship bit. It worries me because For Honor had this same kind of feeling about it. When we saw For Honor, it looked incredible in terms of the core gameplay mechanics, and then when it came out, it was a bit shallow. It just didn't quite hit it for me. I'm hoping that this doesn't go through the same thing. I'm hoping that it isn't just this mechanic and going out and getting treasure over and over and over again. I'm hoping there's a bit more substance to it, a bit more depth to it than there was with For Honor, and that it won't come later on like it did with For Honor. Like For Honor lost me early on because it didn't have enough, but now I hear there's quite a bit more involved with it, which is a shame because I haven't got the time to go back to it. But if it had all that content from the outset, maybe I would have done. I'm hoping Skull and Bones has the content, has the substance beyond what we've seen so far, because for me personally, I love pirates and I love the way that this looks. I don't think they didn't give a release date for it. They just gave a placeholder, so just 2019 is when it's supposed to be coming out. Ubisoft went weird then as well. Elijah Wood, Frodo himself, came out on stage, which is a great fucking plug. That means two celebrities, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Elijah Wood, showed up at Ubisoft. Amazing. Ubisoft have got some fucking pull, man. Really have. They showed off a game called Transference, which is available also in VR. It's made by Elijah Wood and his company. What are they called? I couldn't find the name. I didn't write down the name of the company, but basically it's his film production company that's also working on games. It's about diving into people's consciousness and figuring out what's going on in there to solve puzzles and solve mysteries inside someone's head. So what it seemed to be like was like live action stuff on the outside, but then when you dive into people's heads, it turns into gameplay, and it seems to be certain rooms, areas, environments that are the same, but when you dive into different people's consciousness, they change slightly. So the colours might be different. The enemies, there's like a weird digital enemy in different ones. It changes depending on the person's perception of the environment. Very interesting stuff. Very fucking weird. I was getting kind of a Black Mirror vibe from the whole thing. And basically the tagline that they used, really, the one that explains it the most, is about escaping a corrupted mind. Very weird as well, because it seemed to be from the perspective of a child whose father was forcing them into this kind of consciousness state. There was a bit of an abusive relationship. I got the feeling of there. The kid was begging the father not to be a part of it. Very weird, very creepy. Like I said, very Black Mirror, which is a good thing. It's coming out this fall, so autumn. Don't know how that works out in terms of America to Britain. America seems to have a different perception of when the seasons are. So yeah, fall, so late this year. At some point that'll be coming out. After that, they showed off Starlink, Battle for Atlas. I didn't really care about Starlink. Okay, they showed it last year. It was that Toys to Life thing. You got the modular kind of spaceships. It's basically like Lego spaceships. You pull different weapons off. You can put different weapons on. You put them on the little pad, and they show up in-game. It looks alright. It seems to be a bit more substantial than most Toy to Life things that we've seen before, like Skylanders and what was the other one, Lego Dimensions, where there is more of a story going on there. There seemed to be a bit of a narrative happening. I didn't really care, to be honest, at first, about what they were showing. They showed a bit of a brief trailer and about what Starlink was going to look like. The reason I said Star Fox is because of the next bit, because Star Fox is in the game. Yeah, they've got from Nintendo. They've got the Star Fox franchise into there, and that's fucking huge. I mean, again, it's another point of Ubisoft's outreach and then wanted to partner with different studios. So not only like the Elijah Wood stuff with Transference and Hit Record and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ubisoft are reaching out to Nintendo as well, reaching out to different video game companies, doing crossovers. Ubisoft are really being like a hub for different. They're being a hub for different artists. They're reaching out to get a hold of other companies, other creatives, and kind of come together to make a collaborative effort into a game. Starlink has Star Fox in, and it's got a completely like new story with that character, with the whole Star Fox universe in there. The ships are in there that you can fly. All the different pilots from Star Fox are in there. They even had Miyamoto there. Miyamoto came up on stage. Yves Guillemot came out and gave Miyamoto a Star Fox ship, like the Starlink Star Fox toy, like mounted and presented beautifully to Miyamoto. Really nice. Really good that Ubisoft and Nintendo are partnering. It's huge for Ubisoft, big for Nintendo. Star Fox is only an exclusive on Nintendo Switch in Starlink, though, which makes sense. I mean, if you're getting Starlink for PS4 or Xbox, you're probably not going to care about Star Fox. Did I get that the right way around? I hope I did. A lot of Star, a lot of Links, a lot of Foxes. And it's good because what they did with this game is start off with me not really caring about it. And then after watching the trailer and them announcing the content and the Star Fox link and the Nintendo link, they went from me not caring about a game to actually, you know what, being a little bit interested, caring a little bit, wanting to see what this plays like and wanting to see how it's going to unravel at the end of it all. And that's big. That's what E3's for. That's what you're supposed to do at E3, is to make people who don't care about games or don't care about certain specific games care about games. Well done, Ubisoft. That's exactly what you needed to do. Love it. And then they went on to For Honor. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so For Honor, it's great. Free on PC this weekend. Thanks, mate. They got DLC, Marching Fire, 4 new fighters. It's got single-player content as well. They got a 4v4 mode called Breach. Taking down castles, I think. I don't know. God, they didn't make me care about For Honor. I tell you that much. God, it was just a shitty trailer for some DLC. Again, it peaks and troughs with Ubisoft throughout this entire conference. Peaks and troughs. High points and then fucking low points. They moved on swiftly from For Honor into The Crew 2, which I didn't realise is out on June 29th. Which is sick. It looks good. And apparently from what I've heard from certain outlets that have previewed the game, it's actually dumb fun. It's really good, stupid fun. And they've not shied away from that fact. They've not tried to make it too serious like they did with the original Crew. I played Crew for about 5 minutes before I got piss bored. I'm hoping with the Crew 2 they've taken a different approach. Seems to be that way according to the previews from certain outlets. It looks silly fun. Different vehicles as well, not just cars but motorbikes, boats, planes, Formula 1 car driving through the streets of wherever this is set. I love that idea. Great stuff. Bit of a weird thing, the open beta is out on the 21st of June, which is 8 days before it releases. Why the fuck are you doing a beta test where you're supposed to find problems by letting it out into the world and fix those problems 8 days before the game's release? That's not a lot of time. I don't feel like that's a lot of time. And I'm not into this world of development or anything like that, but I don't feel like 8 days is enough to fix any major problems you may experience with the beta. Bit weird that. I feel like you need a month at least. A month. But, I don't know. Who cares? June 29th, Crew 2. I will be playing it. I'm going to pick this one up. I'm going to take a punt. I'm going to take a risk. And then finally, what they showed at Ubisoft was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, yes, another interesting era. Looks really cool in the Greek. Yeah, Greek. Was it Greek? Or Roman? No, Greek. Yeah, ancient Greece, kind of ancient Greek. And to be fair, if it's as good as Origins was, then we're in for a treat. What it seems like they've been doing is it says it's been in development for 3 years, which is the same amount of time as Origins. So I wonder if they've got 3 different studios working on 3 different Assassin's Creed games at the same time. And I feel like this is going to be sort of the ancient trilogy. They've had Egypt, they've had Greece. I don't know what's going to come next. Maybe 3 O's. They've had Origins. They've had Odyssey. You know? What's next? Orifice? Maybe? I'd love that. Assassin's Creed Orifice. Explore some ancient bumholes. Yeah, so I don't know where that's going to go. But yeah, interesting. My worry is it going to be too soon or too similar? Because it looked very similar. Very, very similar. And quite close to Assassin's Creed Origins. I thought it was weird that they announced Odyssey, especially since they were chatting shit about them pursuing this live service idea, Ubisoft pursuing this live service idea. I thought that's what they were doing with Origins because of the different DLCs that were coming out. I thought they were just going to plug some more DLCs for another year. They could have done some Roman shit because there was some Roman involvement in Origins. Whatever it is, who cares? The main character is either Alexios, or Cassandra. You can play it as a female assassin now. Yeah, you get a choice of 2 characters. I like that. I think that's the first for the franchise. So you're not forced into a male role. You can be a female role if you wish to. Also, an interesting part is Alexios. Alexa's talking to me. Alexios or Cassandra are part of Leonidas' bloodline, the great Spartan king Leonidas. So that's really interesting because you have Leonidas' King Leonidas' spear, magical spear, supernatural spear that beats the fuck out of everybody according to the trailer. I mean, it had some fucking power behind it, some proper supernatural power, something I don't think we've quite seen in Assassin's Creed, what I've played anyway. So that'll be a nice, interesting mechanic to see how that works out. And dialogue choices. That's a new thing as well. They showed Cassandra talking to an NPC and being able to make certain dialogue choices that can have certain effects on the game. So I think the NPC asked them about a certain enemy, like did you let them go or did you kill them? And you can choose to lie or tell the truth. I like that idea. Very nice. Again, though, I do have some worries about Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it is very Assassin's Creed Origins. It is very similar. In fact, it looks almost exactly like Origins. The kind of setting, the kind of tone, the movement. It looks just like Origins does. I wonder if it plays like it as well. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, more stuff like Origins is a good idea. But like I said previously, it could have been too soon. I think it's too soon, especially when what you're releasing looks like Origins DLC. You know, you could have just said, here's a new story following a different character in a different area. I mean, I don't know. I know it's a full game that's been in development for a long time, but she's even got the eagle by the looks of things. There's not a lot of differences between what they did in Origins and what they've done in Odyssey. It worries me because I know they took a year out to kind of reinvent themselves, and it seems like they've reinvented themselves with Origins, but are they just going to stick to that formula again? And after this game, by the next year's game, because that seems to be a thing now, it's probably going to be annualized again. By next year's game, is it going to be washed out and boring again? Because that's the problem. That was the problem with Assassin's Creed last time, is they came out year after year, it was exactly the same, no different, same old shit, and you're having to pay for it year after year. And this seems like the most egregious version of that. Because Odyssey does look very similar. The only difference is it's like Greek mythology as opposed to Egyptian. I don't know. It's still a time I'm interested in. I'm probably going to pick it up anyway just to see if it does pan out like that. I'm not having high hopes for this one at all. I'm not going to let myself get excited about an Assassin's Creed game ever again. Maybe if this came out next year, 2 years removed, then I would have been excited. But right now, I'm afraid I cannot be excited for this game. Despite the huge battles that they showed, or the fact that there's a Minotaur. There's a Minotaur, so they're not shying away from the supernatural stuff, which I'm a fan of. And that was it. It just ended then. Ubisoft's conference just ended. Yves Guillemot came out on stage with all his friends, all his developers, the man who loves the furry porn, he came out as well and just said thank you for everything and closed the show out. There wasn't a one more thing. There wasn't a Beyond Good and Evil thing like last year where it was like, oh, one more thing. It just ended, and that was it. It just ended on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. See what I mean? See what I mean? So yeah, that was Ubisoft's E3. I think it was a relatively strong showing. Some good things in there that I'm excited for. I'm excited for The Division 2. I'm excited for Skull and Bones. I'm interested to see what they turn into. Transference looks very cool, very interesting. I like what they did with Starlink, making me not care about it at first and then making me care about it. I think Ubisoft are doing the right thing in terms of partnerships with Nintendo and companies like Elijah Wood's studio and Hit Record with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think they're doing a good thing collaboratively with other people. As for where Ubisoft rank in terms of all the E3 conferences, I think, to be fair, I'm going to stick with Xbox at the top. They did a good job of going not just first-party stuff, but also the third-party stuff. They had a more well-rounded conference than PlayStation did, even though I'm more interested in what PlayStation showed. I think their behaviour towards third-party stuff, their presentation itself, and the way that they're treating gamers as well with the Fortnite stuff that I mentioned in yesterday's video, I don't think they deserve to be at the top. So I'm going to put them as a close second, based purely on the content. Third, I'm going to go with... See, this is hard now because Nintendo, Bethesda, and Ubisoft had equally good conferences. What games do I care about more? I think Nintendo, then Bethesda, then Ubisoft. I think that's going to be the way it is. I'm more excited about what Bethesda's got, especially with Fallout 76. I think that's going to be interesting. Doom Eternal as well. More interesting to me than anything that Ubisoft have got, even though Skull and Bones and Division 2 look great. Their presentation was good, though. Oh, their presentation was good. Damn. Yeah, their presentation was really good, so that puts them up there. Right. So final run order. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Nintendo. No, it's not Nintendo. Xbox, PlayStation, Bethesda, Ubisoft, Nintendo. But those three, Ubisoft, Nintendo, and Bethesda, are all interchangeable. It's hard to make a choice. They're all very good. I think Nintendo's presentation was the worst, but it had good content. Bethesda's got the most interesting games for me personally compared to the other two. Ubisoft overtakes Nintendo because of its presentation values. There we go. So that's the final order. Xbox, PlayStation, Bethesda, Ubisoft, Nintendo. But those bottom three, can be interchangeable. EA and Square, like I said before, don't exist. They didn't exist at this E3. I refuse to acknowledge that horse shit that they put together. I'm sorry, guys. You might have put a lot of effort into it, but for fuck's sake, learn how to do E3, EA. We don't need a fucking 5-10 minute conversation with some guy called Young Kiv who's never been on stage before, but he's got a belt. Why has he got like a championship boxing or MMA belt for playing Madden really well? Fuck off. Honestly, fuck off. So yeah, that's it. That's all my E3 content for this week as well. That's the final video. Ubisoft is the final video. That's all my reactions for the conferences that mattered. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed watching this content. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. I think I'm gonna dive into more content like this more often. I've enjoyed doing this. It's more conversational, just me talking about certain happenings in the video game industry. I think that might be a thing, or kind of like this off-the-cuff reviewing of games. Might start doing this a bit more often, besides the gameplay video. Thank you for watching. Please, subscribe to the channel. Next week, going back to normal content, all gameplay stuff. Got some exciting things coming. So, until then, my friends, until next time,